Hello and welcome to SureFire Live. Thank you guys for joining us again tonight. We have a couple of good friends of mine, also they're CSIA board members, and they are very much different in how they run their businesses, but they also are very much the same in how much they want to give to the industry and how much they help the industry. So tonight we have Kurt Felgemacher from Felgemacher Masonry. I met Kurt a few years ago over in Europe, actually. He showed up at the Spazza Community Festival out of the blue, and next thing I know, he's in a parade with us. We became fast friends at a dinner over there, and we've gotten to know each other quite well. My second guest is Tommy Nelms. He needs no introduction. If you've been watching our SureFire Lives, he is one of the founders, the main idea guy behind Sweep Away Cancer. He also has Sweeps and Ladders chimney service here in Nashville, along with Ashbusters. And he's also the Vice President for the Chimney Safety Institute of America. He did his talk at the Business Symposium at my shop a few months ago. And we talked about this before, me and Jim Brewer, but his take on perspective, one, coming from being a firefighter, but two, as a chimney guy, how his perspective helps his business was just fascinating to everybody that listened to him that day. So it was a fantastic day. So I'm going to bring on Kurt Felgemacher first. He's our first guest, so let me hit his button. Hey, Kurt.
Hey, Mark. Thank you for having me on this.
So great to have you. If people don't know who you are, tell people who you are, where you come from, why are you helping out this industry like you are?
Well, just a little bit about me. I'm out of Buffalo, New York, and I'm a part of Felgemacher Masonry. We've got two locations, one in Buffalo, one in Rochester. I do not come from the trades. I actually lived in Chicago for 10 years, and I was a trader on the Board of Trade and the Mercantile Exchange. So I'm kind of coming to this industry with a different perspective. I joined back in 2012. I joined my father, my grandfather, my brother in the business. It was just the four of us. So I did not have a ton of construction experience. But what I did come to the industry is that, from a finance background, I just really wanted to look at the opportunities and, how it could grow, a company. And this industry has just given me so many opportunities. And I always want to give back by sharing, because it's really been a blessing to join it.
Yeah, if you're watching, I do have a little bit of a glitchy connection. So please bear with me. This is my fault. Early on, we got some early comments. We got Chad Murray saying, "Hey, dude." He's on the show. Here he is. Cody Whitwood, his right-hand man. Good Tuesday, Mark. And then Kyle says hello from Alpine Chimney Service out of New Jersey. Welcome, guys. This is a two-sided conversation, so thank you, those who jumped in early. Kurt, so 3 generations, man, and then you went away from the trade and came back to it. Why did you come back?
No, actually, I never left the trade. I was a trader on the floor, actually. And I had never been in the trades. I was new to construction. In fact, I was probably the worst first employee. I had my grandfather, my dad, and my brother, who are construction minded. So I was kind of their helper, but sort of they kind of knew that to take it to having employees and make it a more professional thing. That's kind of where I came in.
Well, so you figured out this thing on insurance. I talked to you a couple of years ago, and you were showing me some things that you do with insurance that I think our industry needs to know. And could you let's just, I could talk to you all day, but I know I got a presentation. Do you want to go right into your presentation, or do you want to
I'll kind of go right into it, and I can kind of talk to, kind of what I went over with you. It seems like our industry, everybody's got different ideas of the way to approach how to get insurance. I think we all know what would be insurable.
Before you go too far.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You might want to hit the play from start button where so we don't see all the side stuff.
Okay, I tried to switch it. If you're seeing the side stuff, I apologize. I don't know how to Does this look
I
any
think if
different to you?
Not yet. I think if you hit the play button in the upper left, it'll take full screen. But if not, we'll just keep going.
All right. I mean, I'll just kind of get over the important parts. I think I'm kind of in the play button, but that must be because it's the editor. I'm not sure. But really, you know, what I want to get across is I think a lot of us know, you know, there's wind damage that can happen to chimneys. You know, you can have lightning strikes and, of course, fire, you know, and, you know, when we go to inspect chimneys, we, you know, find different issues. And I think when you're coming at this, you know, there's more parts to the puzzle. You know, normally when we go out to do an estimate, you're really just talking to the homeowner, right? It's you and the homeowner that are trying to lay out a plan and, you know, give them a good price and then come over and do the right work. But you know, when you find some of these issues, you're really bringing in another party to the plan, and you want to make sure that everyone is comfortable with what you're doing. And I think, especially with chimneys, you know, a lot of these adjusters, insurance companies don't know a whole lot about what we are out there to inspect and what our findings are. So I think it's really important that you need to have a nice presentation for the insurance company. And, you know, what I've come to find out is that, you know, before I'll get to that slide about, you know, what software we use to present to the insurance company. But, you know, to start off with, many homeowners have never gone through homeowners insurance or using it, you know, so right. I think a really important point is to, you know, get them comfortable with the process. What is that? You know, what are you finding? And then now that you've made a finding, you know, with, I don't know if there's vertical cracking in the tiles or a sudden heat event or a lightning struck the chimney, you know, you need to have a nice process to lay out for them of what's ahead. You know, we can't just, you know, give them a number and just say, call up your insurance. We kind of have to take the lead on this. And that's really important. So, you know, you want to have a nice laid out process for, all right, you know, when I'm here, we're going to put together a whole packet for you. And then, you know, what I need you to do is call the insurance company, open up a claim. You know, you're going to be assigned an adjuster. That'll be a desk adjuster. And, you know, there might be a field adjuster. You know, you're going to be working with engineers, and don't worry about it. We're going to provide all the information that they need to get you to an approval. And I think it's important to really have this set in stone, whether you're a one-man operation or, you know, you've got multiple trucks out there. Everybody has to be on the same page because, again, you're going from the normal, you know, business to homeowner relationship to having another party in there. Things can get caught up in there, right? There can be a lot of missteps that can happen, or things can fall through the cracks. So if you have something that can be, you know, on a nice timeline, and that you can follow up with not only the homeowner, but the, you know, adjuster that's out there, or maybe you need to go meet the engineer, or possibly they need a second opinion. I think you need to have everything laid out because, you know, there's a lot at play, and you want to make sure that the homeowner feels comfortable with everything that's going.
So real quickly on that, when you say have things laid out, you're just trying to lay out the path. Do you literally have this in a document? Is this something you send to them? Is it something you leave with them? What does laying it out mean?
We don't happen to lay out anything for the homeowner as far as we don't have a document, or it's really talking to the homeowner, working with your technicians or working with your estimators, or if you're a one-man show, you know, having that conversation that here's what's ahead. You know, okay. We've done this before, and I know that for a lot of you, or, you know, when talking to the homeowners, you know, I know that this is something new, and you have to make them feel comfortable with everything, you know, because sometimes you'll go over there and it'll just be, you know, a $250 sweep, but, you know, things come up, and all of a sudden, you know, this is going to turn into a large project, you know, so you're going to have to really make someone feel comfortable with that, right? Because all of a sudden you're talking about knocking out tiles and relines, and you know, there's a lot that you're going to move to that it you know, whoa, I thought you were just coming over here to you know, take a look at something. So you gotta have to have a nice way of getting ahead of a lot and answering their questions so that you can really make them feel comfortable with what's ahead.
Gotcha.
Does
Perfect.
that answer your question?
Yeah, you're laying out. It's just like we do when we're telling a story. Or when we're doing a presentation, here's what we're going to go over. Here's kind of how it's going to lay out. And then you start with the story. So you really take them on the journey. What's going to happen.
Exactly. And, and an important piece of that is that, you're going to be working with the, insurance companies, and they have their own ways of doing things. And I think, when I first got into doing insurance work, I would just send them what we would normally give a customer, right? Oh, you're going to just, a chimney rebuild, and then maybe have a couple of little details of what that is. But that's not what insurance companies are used to. They're used to having a whole document of everything that goes into the project, labor hours, materials, what type of scaffolding you're using. There's a lot of pieces that are in there. And, as a business, I wanted to make this with the least amount of friction possible, right? And because there can be some friction with the customer, but also with the insurance company. So, I really wanted to have some software, something out there that would help do that. And that's when I really got into using Xactimate for something like that.
And that's spell that out in case people don't know what that is, because it's not spelled the way it sounds.
Right. So Xactimate, it starts with an X. It's Xactimate. It's actually a software that all insurance companies use that they can communicate pricing. It's constantly updated. So anytime that, a new approval happens, or, certain adjustments are happening to projects that are around the country, there's, different labor rates. There's different supply factors. And it's a way for, if I'm an adjuster in Texas, I want to know what it is that it would cost for certain materials, or what is a mason, per hour in Dallas versus, another part of Texas. It's just a nice way of them being able to lay it all out. So, going down that journey, I thought, oh, wow, this is going to be a lot to learn. And I'll be really honest with you. After spending a little bit of time on it, it's actually not that bad. It's actually pretty intuitive. You can use, and once you kind of get your hands on it and start to lay out, the way you want things broken down, it actually is not that bad. But
hey, real quickly, are you seeing your first slide or other slides?
Right now, I'm on Xactimate breakdown. Is that what you're seeing?
No, unfortunately, we can still only see your first slide. And as we've been going, so I'm going to just take your slideshow off and you can talk. Kurt, Chad Murray said it's probably because you have your screen on you're playing on another screen instead of.
I'll see if I can get that off. Hold on 1 second. If I can get it off real quickly.
There you go. I can see estimate for complete work now.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'll try to go off of this, and we're at Xactimate right now. And I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of, I know that's going to be maybe difficult to see.
Yeah, they won't be able to do that.
Right. I mean, essentially, if it comes down to, within this that you can't see, is that I've got scaffolding breakdown, I've got labor hours of man who are on it, like one, mason with a couple of helpers. What, it has in there flue liners, and, you really need to get down to what is the job going to cost of what you're doing. If you're doing a 3 flue liner, breakout and reline, you've got 3 different flues to worry about. How long is that going to be? How many people are going to be there? And what it costs. You're just going to have to kind of break it down. But the whole goal is that whoever the adjuster is, they don't know chimneys. Right. You do. So you're going to know what the job is. You want to make it easy that once they get this in their file, they can pretty much just pass it on to their manager for approval. That's the whole goal, is that I don't want them to do any work. You know, because I don't want it to get slowed down. I want them to be able to just pass it off, approve it, and then everybody wins. You know, the homeowner gets their settlement, and then you as the business gets to actually do the work. So I'm just looking to make it a smooth transition.
So one of the complaints I hear a lot is that Xactimate prices are way low. They're way wrong. So I'm sure you run into that. What do you do to combat that?
You know, we do have the conversations with adjusters that I'll tell them, like, listen, Xactimate is nice, but they don't have everything that's in our industry, right? They don't have all the terms. They don't have parging a smoke chamber, and you might need to make little changes in there. But when you're upfront, like, hey, you don't have parging the smoke chamber. I put it in as, I don't think I have it. I think I put it in there as labor hours for a mason. I added how many hours because a mason in my area is $65 an hour. Well, how long are they going to be working on it? You know, so you might need to do your own little breakdowns and your own little tweaks within the software. And I do agree that some of the pricing is really low, but you know, you can kind of make up for it on labor hours versus whatever the materials are.
Right. So $65 an hour or $85 an hour for a mason for me is low. So, so do you basically have to get your price and then back it into Xactimate?
Well, like they have flue liner is, you know, if you did like heat shield, you know, they've got concrete liner. It's not a line item that's on there, but that's $200 a linear foot. So you can put in 35 linear feet, you know, you're going to get a decent amount on that. And then you can put in the labor hours of whoever you have on the job. Maybe, you know, if the mason hour is low, you can put in that you have 2 masons on the job. You know what I mean? Like you're going to have to kind of play with that and get to the price that you're really looking for.
The main reason you want to use this is so that they can easily process the paperwork. And I would assume that you're having less arguments with them when you're speaking their language versus them trying to learn our language and then them putting it into Xactimate.
Oh, yeah, completely. And what's nice is that sometimes you'll get some local adjusters that will just be like, oh, I know your work. Like, I'm just going to pass it on. You know what I mean? Like they honestly, they like that they're working. I get calls from adjusters saying, hey, I've got someone else who is going through a fireplace claim. Like, I need you to, you know, take a look at this. And then, you know, so we'll get calls sometimes because they would rather have it all broken down and they don't have to spend hours trying to figure out like, okay, how do I, you know, decipher what this company wants to do here. Right.
Sounds good. Yeah. And I've got a couple comments over here. Chad Murray says we have the plan on all of our estimates as a line item. It lays out the timeline and only expectations of what's going to happen. Cody Whitwood says the Apple Pencil is a game changer for annotation. And then Kyle says, yeah, way low on the labor per hour. And I hear that a lot. So you basically, you know that. It doesn't match your numbers either. You just back into it so that we're still talking.
Yeah, maybe I've got to put in a little bit more material, or like I don't have, I own my own scaffolding. I don't rent it, but like I put that down there that I do. You have to make sure that you put in every little detail in there to juice it. You know what I mean? Like you're going to have to get to your price, but you know, really go through there with a fine tooth, you know, comb to really figure out everything that you can put into the job. And, you know, if you know that it's going to be 4 days, but, you know, put down 6 days, you know what I mean? Like you're going to have to kind of just tweak it a little bit.
Yeah. It's not ripping them off. It's getting to the price that you need because you're going to put the price anyway, and then you're going to fight with them basically. So Kyle says, so we lie on the form. So how would you, you know, so how do you, I don't know that it's lying. It's you've got to come to my price and here's what I need for this job to even do it.
So here's actually the real theme of how you guys should be thinking when you're out there in the field. The insurance companies are really supposed to pay for replacement, you know, like for like, okay? Right. We're not asking for that. You know, when we go to a home and I need to do relines, what's the real way of doing it? For me to put new tile in there, I'd have to rip down the chimney down to the basement or the first floor, go through the rest of the house, knock out, like moldings and all this other stuff. I'm not asking for 200,000. I'm looking to retrofit the most cost-effective way to bring this back to a code. It's actually an upgrade, because you could go in there like that, I guess, but that's another way of telling the insurance company, like, hey, what are you doing? This is not like you're fighting over $1,000 for me, when really the homeowner has every right to try to go after 200. You know what I mean?
Interesting. So, and maybe you're going to get to this, but what do you say when people say, hey, I don't want to use my insurance, I'm worried my insurance is going to get canceled? What do you say to them?
Yeah, no, and we get that all the time because they're not used to it, right? And I happen to be in an area in the Northeast where, this is kind of like the honeypot for insurance companies, because they don't have hurricanes, they don't have tornadoes, they have earthquakes. I always just tell them, hey, you can just go right to the next insurance company, they'll take you in 2 seconds. But really, in the insurance world, this is a small thing to take care of. When you're at 15,000 and below or 20,000 below, this is a pretty small amount. And also there's a liability there if they don't take care of it. And also the conversation with the homeowner is like, listen, you don't have to go through insurance. A lot of times if you find it, they're just like, I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to do anything. I say, listen, I'm just letting you know, this is a way that you can take care of this because you have a loss in value in your house. Just like if you're out driving your car and someone hit it, if you go to sell the car and you never took care of it, you don't get as much money for the car anymore. The same thing's going on with your house. What goes on when you sell your house and then they do the inspection and they're like, oh, this is not a to code fireplace. Well, you just lost all that value when you have an insurance company to take care of that.
You said that in the symposium, and I love that line that you have a loss of value in your home. That's so.
That's what it is that they don't look at it as, for a lot of people, right? The people that are kind of hesitant are the ones that are like, I don't even use it, right? Like, I don't want to, I'm worried, I'm scared of insurance companies. I'm really afraid they're going to raise my rates, all this stuff. And it's just kind of like, listen, you have a large loss in value in your house. I'm not sure when the right time is, but when it comes to selling your house, why not take care of it? You got this thing out there that is just going to make your house more valuable when it comes time to sell.
Yeah, I love that. Chad Murray says, put a price on all pieces, parts, each man hour of our services. Termination cap has a Spark restaurant, so you get $155 for the termination cap, $75 for the Spark restaurant, $100 to install. Does it every day. I think the guys who learn how to play the game, it's not, you're going to give your price anyway. It's just how they want to hear it. Because if you know that the homeowner should have coverage, but you want to battle them on, no, I'm $400 an hour, but there's no breakdown in that. I think one of our things we're used to when we're dealing with homeowners is we give one big price. It includes the scaffolding and the, breaking out the tiles and this and that, and it's $6,000. Well, the insurance company is not going to take that. So you've got to make that number up in something that they can understand.
Completely. And the language that they even have in the description is what they have.
Right.
They have their own things to put in, and it shows the quantity, the unit price, the total. They need all of that. So if you just break it down in your own company's language or your own estimate language, then you're going to have to give it to the guy to go have him figure out how to put it in his language. Why not already do that for him?
So Cody Whitwood says, big insurance companies have a fire division dedicated to chimneys and fireplaces. I've worked with the State Farm Inspector quite a bit in my area. They are based in Plano, Texas. Once you walk them through the same report and hit the big three, they are on board with making repairs versus risking a life. Oh, that's good. So tell me, how often do you run, and I don't mean to, I know I'm getting you off your PowerPoint, but how often do you run into an engineer that gives you trouble with your findings?
It's funny. We just kind of we have one insurance company that seems to play, there's actually a book on it. It's called, I can somehow send it to you, but there's a book that someone put out about the insurance game and how they really make their money in adjustments, because it's so competitive in the insurance landscape that the way that they really they had big consultant company come in, and they learned that you have to make it from denial, delay and all this stuff. And, when it comes to working with companies, for the most part, they want to make right with the homeowner. And like I said, if it's at 15,000 and less, they usually are able to pass it through. You do get the occasional time that they really want to make it difficult, and they have the engineer come out, right? Well, this is another time that you kind of have to lay things out. You've got to become the expert, because a lot of these engineers are sort of jack of all trades people. They actually don't know chimney. And also, they're not ready to really make an inspection. They'll come out there with a ladder and maybe some tiny little, video camera or something like that. And I already tell the homeowner, hey, listen, make sure that this guy has the right insurance to get on your roof, that he's got the proper video inspection equipment, so he's doing the same sort of video documentation that I'm doing. Make sure that they're doing a professional job. And if they don't have all those things, then you're not getting, the full treatment by the insurance company. They're kind of having some hack come over and do that.
Right. Their job is to not pay the claim. I mean, a lot of times.
Yeah. I mean, they're supposed to, be a third party, but again, they're being paid by the insurance company to come over. And that, that's part of the conversation that I have with the homeowners too. Listen, most of the time everything works out, but there might be a couple bumps in the road down the road, down the path. And here's what happens. If you feel like you're not getting top of the line service from your insurance company, tell them, call them up and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. I feel like I'm getting bullied here. I had a professional come over. He definitely knows what he's doing. He's got video inspection equipment. He put everything together in Xactimate, and they've had other successes with it. What's going on? How come you're not treating me that way? And usually when you get to the manager level, they start to, okay, we'll look into it and they'll take care of it. But sometimes you really got to sink your teeth into it. And like in New York, the Department of Financial Services actually acts on your behalf because they understand that homeowners are the little guys compared to the insurance who are the big guys. So you can threaten that to the insurance company, like, I'm ready to open up a claim here. I feel like I'm getting bullied by my insurance company. And, I feel like I might need to, have them investigate what's going on here.
Right. Yeah. It's so common. There's certain insurance companies here that always say no first. And that's part of the thing, like you're talking about, telling the customers, hey, once you get to know these insurance companies.
Another important piece, Mark, is that save all of your approvals, your documentation, all that stuff. Keep that, because that is your, you can give that to the homeowners. You can give that to the insurance company and be like, wait a second, you're at Mass Mutual or State Farm, right? Well, we've already had 20 other approvals. What are you doing with, I've got the same type of issue here. You know what I mean? You've already approved it 20 times. What's going on with this one?
Oh, that's a good one. Let me say real quickly, Cody Whitwood says, absolutely, engineers and home inspectors are 1-1. We educate them just like we educate homeowners.
Yeah, completely. And you know what? I should go back. I know I'm talking to the engineer, like I'm ready to, go to war with them. I am, I have all of our people talk to them like, we are trying to make this so easy. We're here. We're your friend, engineer. I just want to let you know what our findings are. And I don't want you to think that I'm combative right off just because they're sending someone. It's just that when they do try to stonewall you, you got to have your things in place of like, wait a second, you've already got all these other times that you've approved it, or have the homeowner make sure that, hey, the guy won't go on the roof. Does he have an insurance for it? Or does he have the right equipment to even do a proper inspection? You have to have these things ready to go in case they just kind of are doing it to, stonewall you.
Chad Murray says Dallas adjusters don't get on roofs.
Well, there you go. So how can they really do a proper inspection? That's kind of unfair that they're just sending some guy out there to shut it down and they don't even get up there. Probably because they don't have the insurance to do it.
That's great. What else do they need to know? What are some things we miss on insurance all the time that you see? Like on Xactimate that we never think about putting in.
I mean, most of it, it's so funny because, whatever it is that we're doing, you are going to be using these same items over and over and over. The thing that you really need to make sure is that, what are the heights of the chimney? Because, you're putting it, the quantities that are on there are different than what you're using, linear feet for height. We even put up, we even get down to the time that we need to clean up, like within the house. We have a dust tent up and we had to have hours for a cleaning crew in there. And you know what I mean? Like we'll add in every detail, that there's a truck with a trailer and he's got to go there and he's got to dump debris. You know what I mean? Like you have to put every little piece in there that goes on.
Do you put floor covering?
Sure. Hey, that takes labor hours to set up all that cleaning stuff. Sure.
Right. Chad Murray says the difficulty of install roof pitch adjustment.
What?
He says difficulty of the install, like a roof pitch adjustment.
I don't know what that means. Like you're saying that the scaffold setup is more difficult. I don't know what that means.
Or the steepness of the roof. If it's a super steep 12-12 versus a ranch style, you've got an adjustment for that.
Well, probably my scaffold setup is more difficult, right? So I would probably put in more time or labor hours to do that. I don't have anything in there that shows like a higher pitch roof, but I certainly have all the photos in there of the way we have to set it up. So again, if the adjusters are usually like, if you're starting to get into some smaller adjustments that are kind of like, oh, how come you're charging this much for scaffolding? I can say, hey, this is a crazy roof we're working on. Like we got to set up a dance floor up there. Like I can't just, we're not shimmying on some little 2x4. Like I tell them, we got to put in the time for that.
Right. That's perfect.
And sometimes,
so what else?
I will say, they will sometimes want a second opinion. And you've got to lay out to the homeowner, listen, whoever you're bringing in, whoever they're trying to bring in there, recommend to the insurance company. You want to make sure that it's a company that, CSIA certified. They know apples to apples. They're not going to come over there and just have some, someone that they know that might come in there that's cheap. Like be aware that they might get a second opinion from someone they don't even know. It could be an adjuster that's in California. You're in Texas. They just go on a Google search and they see that this person does chimney repair. Like let the homeowner know that you want to, that they should be involved in like, hey, who's the second opinion coming in from? Like make sure that, it's a good reputable company that knows what they're doing.
Have you ever been in a situation where the insurance already paid and you came and found a problem with what the contractor did and you have to redo it and it's still on that same insurance claim?
Yeah, I think we've been brought in mid-project, but it hasn't happened a whole lot. Are you saying that you've had difficulty trying to extract more money or what's the deal?
Well, no, we were brought in like when the insurance company picked somebody cheap and then we had to fix their stuff.
Right. I mean, I guess just there, like I'm not going to do the job unless you do it right. I mean, if you paid a settlement on a poorly quoted job, then you're there to say, hey, this is totally effed up. You know what I mean? We're here to do it right, or we're not going to do it. But no, we haven't been brought in that much. I just would, anybody who's doing this, make sure you tell the homeowner, like they deserve to, and again, it goes all back to mindset, right? Like the mindset is it's replacement, really like for like. I mean, hey, insurance company, we're not asking for, $200,000 here to redo this whole thing. Like we're asking for a small amount because we understand this is the best way to do it. We don't want to put the customer through that whole headache of trying to get all of that.
One more question on that. What happens when you've done all this work, customer takes the money and doesn't pay you?
Sure. Oh, no, we get that. Hey, I'm ready to take the money and run. Well, hold on there. Do you have a lien on the house? Most people do. So you better believe that insurance, and you kind of set that little landmine, right? When you're talking to them and just say, hey, just letting you know, we're going to be working with the insurance company. Do you have a lien on the house? Do you have a mortgage holder on the house? Do you have a mortgage? Yes, I do. Okay. Well, they might be in communication too, because they're going to want to see that this gets taken care of. You know what I mean? Like you kind of have to play that game of whoa, I got to get this done because it is a danger, right? Like, let's say, you set fire to the house and then they find out that they took a settlement and ran. Like, I wouldn't want to be that homeowner.
Mike Fazy asks, any tips on charging or for change orders or pausing/remobilizing? You're in the middle of it. You've got to pull up the floor now, or you've got to do a lot more work. What are tips on change orders?
I mean, I know that's difficult, but, of course there's unforeseen defects. I mean, you might have to bring out the insurance company again. They might have to send someone. That's usually what happens is that, if a job goes bad and you're saying, hey, we were trying to do it the best way possible, but all of a sudden, here's what happened. The insurance companies, they got to deal with that all the time. So you just have to bring them back and try to get as much as you can.
Yeah. All right. So what happens when, have you ever been, somebody wants you to commit insurance fraud, or basically I get asked, hey, can you discount enough to take off my deductible? Do you ever get that kind of thing?
Sure. I mean, you do have to set, listen, it is the homeowner's settlement. Now, I don't tell them that, like, hey, this is your money now, because I know that's how people act, right? And that's why you kind of have to set the landmine of, you better take care of this because, if you're, the mortgage or the bank that owns the house right now, you know what I mean? Like, they're gonna want to see that's taken care of. In that case where they're trying to play with it, they can. I mean, listen, you get a settlement on your car when it gets hit, you get $5,000. Like, you can go wherever you want. You don't have to get it done if you don't want to, but you can go with some cheap guy that barely does it. That's really up to you as a contractor of having that plan, having that conversation of, it's a lot of work, or however you have to do it. But you're going to need to make sure that conversation is already had. And if you got a discount of $1,000 and it's still a good job, then you do it.
Right. I'm sorry. I know my connection is a little funky tonight. I'm sorry. Let me ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
How much does Xactimate cost? Would cost, say,
the last time I looked,
somebody
it was
per year?
Yeah, it was like $1,600 a year, which, depending on how many you're trying to get, I mean, to me, it's worth it pretty quickly. If I get a few jobs and I feel like I got approval quicker, I was able to get more jobs because of it. I think it is just totally worth it. I mean, I don't want that. I want this to be so easy. So to me, $120 a month or whatever that is like nothing.
Did you have to have special training to use it?
No. Again, you kind of, I mean, if you're somewhat computer savvy, it's pretty intuitive. There's actually photos and stuff, or you can look up, chimney, and then all of a sudden all these little items will come up for chimney, and then you kind of play with it. You're going to have somebody that spends some hours on it and then learns how to duplicate things, and you're going to have to spend a little bit of time in there, but it's really not it's not that difficult.
So Dave Levitt said, Kurt, can you post your email address? If you feel comfortable with it, I'll put it right here. If you want to put it
go ahead. It's just Kurt@fmchimney.com. I don't know how to do that nicely here.
Let's see. Kurt, K-U-R-T.
Yeah, Kurt, so it's K-U-R-T at F as in Frank, M as in Mary, chimney.com.
I'm going to add this banner real quick. Show it. All right, there's his, is that right, Kurt, at the bottom? Oh,
I can't. All I can see is my screen right now.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to remove this. Okay, so can you see us now again?
I will stop sharing, and now, yep, I can see you now. That's perfect. Yep, that's the right.
Well, I know we've gone over a bit. Is there anything you want to leave everybody with before we bring Tommy up?
No, just, again, I think that there's a ton of opportunity, and I know roofers use this program. A lot of other contractors, a lot of other industries use this software, and they're doing it right. It's a professional way of doing it, and again, having the whole layout and then having the software and then doing it, it's all part of the program, and it's only going to help your business. There's a lot of opportunity to, bring people's fireplaces back to life. And, we don't live in a whole disaster zone. Like I know you had a tornado time and you know what I mean? You sometimes you have to get it out really quickly. I don't have that benefit, but it'd be nice to do that.
Well, real quickly, to brag on Kurt, his company was in the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the U.S. This last year as well. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, feels good to be on the list. But all right, cool. I hope that helped. I hope that helps some people.
I think it did. Thank you so much, Kurt. Have a good night.
All right, take care, guys.
All right, so bear with us. I'm going to have to get my internet checked out here, but I'm going to bring on Tommy Nelms. And Tommy, here he comes. Hey, buddy.
Hey, bud. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, buddy. Doing wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So you gave a talk in Nashville a couple months ago that it changed me. It changed Jim Brewer, changed a lot of people sitting in that room. And I know it was a very emotional day for you. You had a lot of life cards dealt to you, and you delivered one of the best, talks I've heard. And not to put you on the spot too much, but can you just talk about how you think of perspective in your business? And I'm going to give you the floor.
Yeah. So I did. I had the opportunity to speak at the CSIA Business Symposium. And when I was asked to do it, I thought, man, what in the world am I going to talk about? And my background is in the fire service. And so one of the things that, maybe I'm the only one that kind of struggles with it is that you get so much good information at conventions or business symposiums, and what do you do with it? What does it really mean? And one of the things that I just sitting there thinking about it, one of the things that the fire department is very, very good about challenging you on is constantly analyzing your perspective, in the sense of absolutely every aspect of your life, and especially when it comes to your business perspective. How you run your company, what your strategy is, what your goals are, how you treat your people, how you deal with your customers. There's so many different things, and we tend to get tunnel vision, and we tend to focus on one thing. One thing that I keep thinking about all the time is we hear this a lot, get outside of your comfort zone. Well, what does that really mean? I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean going out and doing something completely reckless because it's uncomfortable and that's what makes it right? No, that's not what it means. And so I wanted to challenge everybody. And then also I wanted everybody to understand and think about what it is exactly that we do. We don't just run rods and brushes up flue liners. We don't just take pictures of stuff. We don't just run cameras up chimneys. What we do is really, really, really important. And I'm glad that it resonated with a lot of people, because it's honestly, it's what I believe. I mean, I can't, I don't hide things very well. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And I wanted people to really think about and challenge the way that they think about things and the way that they approach things. The importance of what we do, because I think sometimes we put ourselves in a little box and we say, well, we're a small industry. We're in the chimney business. There's a couple of thousand of us operating out there, and we not really intentionally, we belittle what our job really is. And what we do is very, very, very important. I tell our guys and gals that if we do our job, the fire department doesn't have to do theirs. And,
that's good.
And we take that to heart. And I've been on both sides of it, right? So I've been in a burning building because somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do. Maybe it wasn't on purpose. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it was intentional. but we were forced to do our job when if somebody had done their job right the first time, we wouldn't have to do it. And so, we always said every morning at the fire department, everybody goes home. And we say that here. And, because our job is important, but it's not more important than your life, than your family. That's why I've been very, very excited that the CSIA has focused a lot on safety and really kind of taking care of each other and really kind of stepping up our game as far as that goes. Man, yeah, I would, we don't have a ton of time, and Mark only gave me 45 minutes at the business symposium. I probably could have gone a lot longer because I'm really passionate about it.
Tell everybody the story about your training where you were actually being trained and you kind of got tunnel vision versus what was happening. That was fascinating.
Yeah. So I actually told this story the other day. So when I was in the rookie school for the fire department, you do so many different scenarios, and they challenge you on so many things. And a lot of times what you think the drill is or what the practical is, it's actually something completely opposite of that. So of course, I'm pretty competitive. So I'm scenario where we had it was in a training facility. We lit a fire in this house, and our objective was go in there and find the victim. And it was all timed. So here I go bailing off in this building that's on fire. I'm running around. I find this person. I find a victim. Of course, they're not real. They're dummies. I find the victim. I'm like, I'm done. I drag it back outside. I throw it outside. I'm walking out. Man, I'm so excited. I'm thinking I just destroyed everybody. And the instructor at the time, he comes over there and he's like, man, here's your time. Yeah, good job. Good job. He said, you only killed 3 people. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I got the victim out. He said, dude, you got so singularly focused on that because we said victim that you only thought that there was one, and you didn't do your job like you had been trained, which is you find one, you go out, you go back in until you have searched every square inch of that building so that you can say, now I can tell you with beyond a shadow of a doubt that this building is all clear. And dude, I felt about that big. And I learned a very, very valuable lesson that day. And those are the things, man, that we have to constantly train ourselves, because I know I can speak for me, and maybe I'm the only one, but I get so singularly focused on certain, well, we have an issue here, and I'm just so laser beamed on that I waste so much time and energy. And we have a saying in the fire service, it's called, don't waste your water on the smoke. And you can get so tunnel vision and so singularly focused on one thing that you're not paying attention to the things that are surrounding you, right? There may be bigger threats around you. And you see smoke, and so maybe you start spraying water on that fire. Well, soon you're going to run out of water, and the whole house is going to burn to the ground. And so they would always tell you that, don't waste your water on the smoke. And then when I came into the into this trade, into the business, man, there are so many of those lessons that I learned that are so applicable to what it is that we do, and that's everything from leadership. Your perspective greatly affects how you lead. We hear so much crap about millennials and they don't want to work. The oldest person I have, I'm old, but the oldest person that I have is 24 years old. And let me tell you something. This group of people, these men and women that I have the pleasure of working with every single day, they're going to lead us and we're going to be just fine. But your leadership has to change. Yeah. Just like when I came in, I had to be led differently. Your leadership is going to change. Everything, I tell people all the time, whatever you think your opinion is or whatever you think the direction that you're going in right now, challenge it. Find out if it's right. Constantly analyze it. They teach you that in the fire service. Everything changes so fast, right? And they tell you that lives are at stake. And so we have to make sure that we are constantly analyzing everything all of the time, right? Or the conditions changing. We actually use it here. It's called CAN, conditions, actions, and needs, right? So I'll get on the phone with the guys and I'll say, give me a can. And they'll tell me, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we're doing. Here's what we need. And they're constantly analyzing and they're constantly evaluating and they're constantly changing their perspective.
So you lead young guys and you got some super sharp guys, and I congratulate you on running such a good company. What's some of the perspective changes that you've had from when you came in to where you are now, and how long have you been?
So, okay. Yeah, you glitched a little bit there, Mark. So we actually just, we're coming up on 11 years in October. We've been in business. Now, I ran it part-time. I was still at the fire department I left the fire department in 2013. So I've been running it full-time for 8 years. But man, I have a tendency sometimes to make a decision and then start running with it. And so for me, as we grew, I tell Taylor Hill this all the time. When I first started, I got prices to do our website. And I thought, that's outrageous. I can do this myself. And so I built a website. It was terrible. I asked my wife, I said, what do you think? And she was very kind, but I got the message very, very quickly. I have learned that I don't care how long somebody's been doing something. I don't care what their background is. They all can teach me something. One of the things that we do is when we have someone that starts, I always meet with them on their first day, and I tell them, I say, at the end of the week, I'm going to ask you what you think or where you think we could be better, because it's good to get a fresh set of eyes on things. And at that Friday, I'll pull them in to my office. We'll sit down and we'll talk. And I'll say, what do you think? What do you see that we don't see? Because we're so close to it. And man, I have gotten so many great ideas. Some of those things are really, really small, whether that's just the efficiency or kind of the quality of the workplace for the guys and gals that work here. But man, it's the value that everyone brings to the table has probably been my greatest lesson that I have learned in challenging my perspective, in the sense that I've had the pleasure to work with some really, really awesome people, and they have taught me so much, and they're half my age almost. But man, they teach me something new every day. And if you're willing to humble yourself and take a step back and say, one, I can be vulnerable. Two, my perspective is not right all the time, and have a thirst for learning, dude, you can do some awesome things, man. And you say it all the time. You don't have to be right all the time. And there's Ronald Reagan said it best. There's no amount of good that you can do when you just don't care who gets the credit for it. And it's not about me. It's not about me getting the credit for it. And really, if you're a business owner, I want you to think about something. Your people, they come into work every single day and they go to work for you. Whether you own that with your wife, they show up. They're working for Mark Stoner, right? They're coming in and they're working their tail off. Of course, they're doing it for the money and to make a living and all that stuff. But ultimately, they're working for you. You go to work for them. That's your job. You go to work for them. You make sure that they have jobs. You make sure that the reputation of the company is strong. You make sure that they have the safety equipment that they need. I tell them all the time, I say, y'all come in here, you go to work for me. I'm about to go in there and I'm about to go to work for you. And man, if you're all pulling hard in the same direction, you're going to have ups and downs. But again, man, when you have those downs, there's always opportunities there. But you got to look. Sometimes they're hard to find, but you've got to look for them.
Dude, so good. Tell everybody you're next up as the boss of the CSIA. You're vice president. I think you're going to do a fantastic job. Tell everybody why you're volunteering your time, what you look forward to as being CSI president. Like, tell everybody what you're doing.
So, man, I tell you what, it's been a huge honor to be a part of the CSIA. It feels good to be a part of something that I feel like is really making some positive changes. I I look forward to being the president if that's what everybody wants me to do. I think that what I would like to see happen is, kind of take us to the next level. Let's keep talking about this perspective. Let's talk about, we are not, I said this in our class, we are in the chimney and vending industry, but we are in the fire prevention business. And I want to get that through everybody's head. So at the fire department, when I first started at the fire department, there was an engineer there. His name was Steve Wells. We were sitting around the coffee table one morning. Everybody was sitting there chit-chatting. And I made the comment, 22 years old, full of just, get up and go. I made the comment, I said, man, I hope we have a good fire today. And Steve chewed me out. He looked at me, pointed his finger in my face, and he said, boy, there's no such thing as a good fire. The sooner you learn that, the better off you'll be. And he gets up and he just storms off. I'm like, dude, whatever. He's an old timer. And I'm looking around. Every fire department has pictures inside the fire hall. It has these, of all these big fires. And I went out in the bay and I talked to Steve and I said, Steve, what are you talking about, man? You've been to a ton of good fires. Like, your pictures all over the walls of the fire hall. And he looked at me and he goes, I've never been to a fire where somebody hasn't lost something that they couldn't replace, whether that's their own life, whether that's a family heirloom, whether that's a family pet. And he looked at me and he said, your job, the sooner you learn this, the better off you're going to be. But your job is to not put fires out. Your job is to prevent them from ever happening. And if you leave this fire department and you never go in a burning building again, you'll be the most successful firefighter who's ever put on the uniform. And man, that changed me. That changed me. We need to have that same mindset in our industry. We need to understand that what we do, we are putting fire inside of people's houses. And fire department does a great job. Fire prevention through education, right? They hammer that home. They have so many initiatives. We need to do the same thing. That's what I look forward to doing with the CSIA as we move forward, right? We have to be a part of that fire prevention chain where people need to understand that the value of what we do and the fact that we're not just sweeping a chimney to sell you a set of gas logs or to put on a new, beautiful copper chimney cap or anything like that. We are there to educate you, to keep you safe so that you don't lose something that you can't replace. That when you lay down at night and you go to bed, your wife and your kids, that you can sleep well. And if we could hammer that home, we could teach those inside of our industry to be understand the importance of what it is that we're doing, and then also educate the homeowner at the same time that, hey, here we are, this is what we do, and this is why it's so important. Man, it's going to be a win for everybody.
So good, Tommy. So good. I think my connection is really giving me trouble tonight, but thank you, Tommy. Anything else? Chad Murray says, just said it today, sweeps are the unsung heroes that the public doesn't see. You can put a number to the fires that didn't happen, but you can't put a number to the fires that didn't happen, but we know it. Tommy, thank you so much. Kurt, I know you're still sitting on here. Guys, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm very appreciative of both of you. And I hope our audience enjoyed tonight. So thank you, guys.
Hey, Mark, Mark, one more thing. I'm reading a book. It's called Step Up and Lead. His name is Frank. I had to write his name down. Viscuso. He's a deputy fire chief. And I heard something the other day that he wrote in his book that I think is very, very important for our industry. He said, if you think that you are too small to make big things happen, then go to sleep with a mosquito in your bedroom. And Dude, I thought about us, dude, and that is the mentality that we have to have, man. We are going to continue to attack this. We are going to do freaking huge things. Sit back and let's do this.
Man.
Good stuff.
Thank you, Tommy. So inspired. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Yes, thanks.
Oh, such good stuff. Thank you for being with us again, guys. We will do it next week. Be prepared. Share this video. Bring your questions, and we'll talk to you next week. See ya.